Good evening and welcome to the 334th meeting of the New York Comics and Picture Stories Symposium. This is a weekly lecture series on comics, illustration, animation, and the history of text and image work. The series is sponsored in part by the Will and Ann Eisner Family Foundation. Our guest tonight is Céline Hudréaux. I think that's right. She's born in Marseille and studied fine arts at the Villa Arson in Nice and at Sint-Lucas in Ghent in Belgium, where she now lives. She has had her work exhibited from Boisjout, which is in Belgium, to Tokyo, Japan, and she's published 2 graphic stories with the Antwerp-based publishing house Bries. One from 2013 is called It's Not an Ocean. That was in collaboration with Gert Ooms. And a second book, Maelstrom, from 2019, based on a short story by Edgar Allan Poe. Today, she teaches printmaking at Saint-Lucas in Antwerp and at the Academy of Wasmunster in Belgium. And her talk tonight is about her work in printmaking and illustration. So welcome, Céline Hudréaux. Take it away.
Hello, Ben. I will thank you to having me and for the introduction. Good evening, everyone. My name is Céline Hudréaux, and I am an artist, printmaker, graphic novelist, and an art teacher. I start my presentation with three disclaimers. Firstly, as you may notice, English is not my mother tongue. I am French and I live in the Dutch or Flemish-speaking part of Belgium. So English comes only in the 3rd place, and as you may imagine, talking English for an audience makes me a little bit nervous. Secondly, it's rare that I give a presentation about my personal practice, but it's always good exercise to make sense on my chaos. I hope I may inspire some people and that you, together with me, can you see bit through the hip of things that represent an artistic practice. So please pardon my French and my chaos. What I will do, I will commence with talking about how everything started. And after that, I will talk about some different projects I have done and that you can see here. Let's go back in time. First, Ben just said, I studied in Villa Arson in Nice, in the French Riviera. I learned a lot in this school, but above all, the freedom of experiments. They were also very inspiring teachers, and I spent a lot of time in the print shop. The training was important because it learned me to approach drawing as a form of personal writing and idiosyncratic language. Anyone can draw and can learn to draw. It's a technique. Then when you master it, it gives you a lot of freedom. However, I don't have natural talent for observational drawing. Therefore, I have developed many strategies to circumvent this shortcoming. And in my practice, I've freed myself from weight of the artistic canon of drawing. I was never a good writer with words, so I always have been drawing. Drawing is like writing. It's very personal. This is also why I try to teach. This is also what I try to teach in my class. Beyond the virtuosity of a drawing, there is a singularity writing. Almost 20 years ago, I followed my boyfriend to Belgium, and we've moved to the city of Ghent. And where you see the picture, it's beautiful, where we still live. It's a medieval, city. It's really beautiful. At first, I studied 1 year of animation film. In fact, the same from my boy, from Olivier Scroon. We have I follow the same study, 1 year. I love making set and creating atmospheres, and especially doing the research to document a film. But I discovered that animation film wasn't my medium. So I went back to fine art, and I did my master in painting at Sint-Lucas, now part of Lucas School of Arts in Ghent. After obtaining my diploma, I had a lot of trouble finding a job, really a lot, because I don't speak Dutch at all. And that also means that I was a lot at home developing my own practice. I just said, Ben, I was really isolated on that time. I think it took years before I learned the language. Here you can see how my atelier currently looks. I still work mainly in the attic of our house. My big heavy press stays downstairs, however. My training is painting, but I have always loved to draw. After my studies, also my love for printmaking popping up again, and I applied for a residency at France Mazerel Centrum. Is a big printing atelier in Belgium. If there is some people who hear who are interested, you must to find the website. There is soon open call for a residency, and I will definitely say to go there. There is a lot of Americans also where I met after. There I met Marnix Edward, who happened to be a pioneer in non-toxic technique and a teacher in part-time school in Ghent. Here you can see me in the atelier in France Mazerel a few years ago. For the next 7 years, I took evening classes in this academy, and it was wonderful. Very generous and engaged Marnix wanted to pass on all his knowledge of non-toxic printmaking. I spent a lot of time experimenting with the medium. I think it took me 2 or 3 years to know all the recipes. So who are passionate about printmaking will understand me. But this is what makes me the happiest in the world. I see the printmaking as a laboratory, a kitchen where you can discover and combine elements, color, forms. Always surprise pop up during the process. And until the first impression, we do not know what will come out of it. It's always a wonder. I will show you just some of these experiments, focusing on my formal play with color and the use of copper and zinc plates. Usually, etching isn't associated with color. We immediately thinking of the typical black and white image, making use of etching to create volume and shading. Here you see 2 examples of small etchings printed in color inks and etched on diamond shaped plates. Straight lines are easy to cut in the metal plates. So this motivates working with polygonal forms, just like these coffin shaped plates. That is also example. More recently, I took the shape plates in step further and began cutting them with a figure saw in any outline I want, and with holes sparred out. I use the same saw for the jewel makers, and all the same technique to cut the metal, in fact. You can put one color on your plate or ink the same plate with several colors, blending them where they meet. You can also print the same plate twice and one paper, for instance, to mix two different colors. As it's very hard to print on exactly the same place, you discover a tremulous, quivering image. Aquartent is an intaglio printmaking techniques, a variant of etchings that produce area of tone rather than lines. It has mostly been used together with etching to give both lines and shade tone. It has also been used to print in color, for instance, by multiplats in different colors. This you can see here. I have printing 3 different plates on one paper, one with a yellow area, one with magenta areas, and one with cyan areas. They are all partially overlapping, resulting in mixed colors. And then, of course, you can combine different of these techniques. This is an example of an happy accident. I want to print 2 plates superimposed, one with the line drawing and the flowers, and the other one with the color on the flowers, using different colors on a plate with shapes obtained through the aquartent technique. However, during the printing process, I accidentally mislaid my paper upside down on the second plate, and no coloring outside the lines. This creates a more exciting image than the one I attended. This image becomes the cover of a small edition with the title "One Day." I experiment with color etching in another small scroll edition, Western. This work was inspired by old comics, and one of the objectives was to get the effect of color etchings in the children's books by working with quadrichromy. Here are some examples of the image inside the booklet. In reality, they are really small. I don't have the plate now. They're small, so really small. One would think that quadrichromy effect would have been easily achieved through silk screen printing, but randomly the colors on the paper through etching gave a very delicate result. And here another example of a lucky accident with the yellow layer upside down. Technically, it was complicated to realize. Here you can see on the left the 4 color plates where they used to create the image on the right. The acid bit in the plates shouldn't be too heavy so that the color can be superimposed. Also, meticulous registration of the plates was important. Every plate had to be printed the same spot as the one before. Okay, I think I work on this series of images over the span of 2 years. As you can see, most of these examples are from an artistic practice with more autonomous images or small artist book. books. These little books, however, brought me to the bigger work. So now I will present with some more details my major book projects. Yeah, for me it was important to make this introduction to show you my process, because I come from fine arts and I'm not a comics author. I'm learned to be a comics author, so like that. I will begin with It's Not a Nutshell. Alors, it all starts like this. I come back from a job interview where I didn't get the job. You know, the kind where they tell you you did really good, but you ended up second again. That really was a big disappointment, and it put me in a depressed state. Yeah, in that time, I was really, yeah, it was really difficult to find a job. So it's not a notion. This book is really a resume of my state of mind in this time. I started to draw a little character who was isolated in his house, who no longer wanted to get out of bed. This became a small series of etchings with the character of a little lumberjack. I went to see Geert Holmes, a friend who is a writer, to show him the series of etchings and to ask him if he could help me with a text. We ended up working together for almost 8 months, and the book became a co-authored piece with equal part 50-50. I propose we read together through the first page to get an idea of what it became. I will read aloud with you. Okay. A human life can be quite complex. Take mine, for example. I used to be one of the most prosperous stock market gurus in the business. At the age of 27, I made my own company with 96 good citizens working for me. I was going places. Combined advanced economy insight with those decent stock market knowledge and plan, simple and intuition, I made millions of dollars in the blink of an eye. I was a true Wall Street boy. I had it all. The Italian suites, the Swiss watches, 4 houses and 2 lofts, a trophy wife, influential friends, a yacht, a divorce, a second wife, 6 cars, 3 kids, and a big dog named Bugs. You name it, I had it. Yet I live in the wood where all else is quiet. You want to know why? I will tell you anyway. In 2009, during the monetary crisis, my company's profit was dropping extremely fast. The world system was shaking and we were shaking along with it. Times were hectic. I didn't sleep for 4 weeks. Day by day, worried stockholders and clients were calling me on the phone, asking me over and over again where the money went. I knew something had to be done. I forced myself to stay awake, focus, act firmly, cut costs. So I made a few calculations and I did what every man in my position would have done. I looked through the big window and in my top 4 office at the traffic below, 27 members of the staff had to go. Because I had little experience with the matter, I only called in the first victim after having consulted the CAO's Master Manual of Decent Faring. It's a good book. I start firing people on a Friday afternoon. Then I continue to make new images, inspired by this input. In my practice, I am constantly gathering documentation. So you can see some, for usually Americans, it's like, I know Halloween is like usually folklore, but I was very inspired by all the costumes, and I think it's really weird and creepy. So I use it for for my book. In my practice, I'm constantly gathering documentation from books, from objects, from the internet, which sooner or later I used to use in a project. In fact, I think I crashed 2 computers only with a picture of the internet. So because I have maps and for everything, I think, for if I need to I don't know, to take and to draw a hand, I will find a hand on a Google picture. And so here you can see something. Sometimes the inspirations come from unexpected angles. My co-author Geert Ooms happens to have a namesake who is a prolific angler. He immediately pops up when you do a Google research image. And so the book is, and the story goes step by step, based on the contributions of one of the authors. Once the text was more or less definitive, Geert plays the role of a director, of an editor, and passing me leads for the image that we're still lacking. I'm not trained as an illustrator, nor do have the mindset. So when I am asked to make images within a defined framework, it's as if I lose my creativity and I make rather mediocre images. This specific and organic way of working, however, gave me the liberty to come up with new images that aren't necessarily illustrating the text. They could equally become the onset of the new text. It also gave opportunities to play with combination of text and image. For instance, sometimes I took the opposite view of what was written, and I wanted to be pathetic and funny. As one critic put it, you get a still evolving art form between prose, poetry, comics, and illustration, in which the interplay between word and image is always one of refined repetition. Or to put it in Geert Ooms' own word, when I let the fish free, I say it's not an ocean, but it contains a lot of water, end quotes. I think the text is still very beautiful. Geert put care in every word and is a perfectionist. All that time, we didn't have a publisher for the book. Geert Publishing House didn't do graphic novels. So we made a little list of publishers we fancied, and we decided to grab our courage and to send the project to them via email, just like that, with a little hope of success. When 2 weeks later, we received an answer from Ria Schulpen that she was interested, I made a lap of joy. I felt like the girl of 19 again who passed the entrance exam of the Villa Arson in Nice. Ria Schulpen is a woman behind the publishing house Bries, based in Antwerp in Ghent, Antwerp in Belgium. She published among others Olivier Scroen, Wordsworth, and Ephemeron, and later Brecht van den Broek, who was here just last week. I had to put Bries on my list at #1. So Bries was my favorite. It's like all the authors were also friends. For some, Ward and Ephemeron was a friend who were all the time supporting me in my artistic practice. And Olivier Scroen was like a huge fan of him. So, and I think for Ria, her manner of working, she had a lot of possibility for the authors. Here, by the way, you see the Bries space in Antwerp and an exhibition space and a small specialized comics books linked to the publishing house. Then it took 8 more months before the book got really published. Ria taught me a lot. I had no experience at all in making books, how to process goes in general, the cartons, the double page, the lettering. I really strayed with the lettering. It was all handwritten. First, I saw of presenting the text as an etching as well, like in this example. This first version was Dutch, but in the end, we decided to publish it in English. We also worked together with a graphic designer, Stan Dams, for the reproduction of etching, for creating a cover together. Ria put a lot of care in her publications. We look for the perfect paper, we use duotone for the reproductions, and to make them almost indistinguishable from the original etchings. We cut the angles around homes. Yeah, in fact, the idea was from Stan, and he did a really great job, because in first, Ria wanted to publish in white and black, because this was cheaper. And the graphic designer said, no, we must follow the sepia and the nostalgia from the original work of Céline. So it was very nice. But then we decided to use delivery of text and image resembling the layout of, for instance, this old Danish comics series, in which the vignette of the images with the somewhat rounded edges made me think of the etching plates. Paul is really famous here in Belgium. This becomes a more straightforward, sober and clear result. Still handwritten, so. Moreover, the first version was Dutch, but in the end, we decided to publish it in English. Oh, so ça j'ai déjà dit. So all the writing had to be done over again. Also, the word within the images needed new printed versions that were photoshopped in afterwards. We were, ça j'ai déjà dit, pardon. Alors, we work with Stan, I already said, but we create a cover and 3 fleets together. Here you can see some different cover versions. On the left, the cover from our first PDF, and on the 2 right, alternatives that didn't make it. This, yeah, Ria is a perfectionist too. Huh? She took a lot of time to choose. we look out for the perfect paper and for the duotone reproduction to make the, ouais, ça je l'ai déjà dit, mais yeah. I go to see. Pardon. Ouais, je crois que j'ai kept finish with It's Not an Ocean. Now I would want to speak more about about Maelstrom. After It's Not an Ocean, I have more experience and he gave me the taste to make books. So I launched a more ambitious endeavor that would come Maelstrom. That project that would take 5 years to reach its completion. More ambitious in the size of the image, the volume, the length, the complexity, the way of images and text could work together. Actually, the new project had to be an explorating quest to convert the visual language for more autonomous work into a series of images that has a narrative effect. Can you understand everything, Ben? Is okay? You can follow?
Yes, I hear you. I can understand almost everything.
Okay, almost everything. Oh, sorry. Well, we continue. Voilà, that was Maelstrom. Alors, my companion, who know me well, advised me to look at a short story of Edgar Allan Poe called Descent into the Maelstrom. He told me, it's good, you will see it has many parallels with your mental universe and things that inspiring you, like common people with their artisanal way of life, their way of surviving, and like the relation of humankind with nature and resources. I will go back. I just want to show the picture also from the two fishing women, but I must say that I have a passion also for vernacular photography, and my neighbor is also have a collection of really old photographs. So he gave me to this picture to have more documentation for my book. You know that I like so 19 old photos. So in this picture, you can see also that that was a preparation work. So I make some collage with my documentation for to make the book. As I said, okay, I was inspired by a 19th century romanticism and with landscapes, the sublime, the dark side. So I said, yeah, the story is perfect for you. The whole 19th century universe of story illustrated with engravings like Jules Verne and so on. And so the story by Poe became a trail and breadcrumbs, helping me to get lost. I think I must have read and listened to the story over 100 times in these 5 years. Sometimes I can be a little bit obsessive with things. These projects has a special relation with words. There are no words in our text in our next to the images, and at the same time, the words were always present. This is reflected the same rounding of the project. Alors, I just want to see, that is one of my books from Kitty sur le Villa Arson. C'est all book I found I buy on the internet, and it is from the famous Imagerie d'Épinal. C'est 19 folklore images who were made. They made that a lot for in the start of the industrialization. So it's made in lithography. It is really beautiful. But the images are inspiring me for the last bit of the book of Malmström, which is an example. Okay, let's dive in the first page of the book together so you get an idea of the work. Like many graphic novelists, I like to play with the free space and the free leaves of the book offer. Je sais pas si vous arrivez à comprendre. Mais... Alors ça that is the start from the book. I will try to have the word of Poe, but I must be honest because the text originally is by Baudelaire in French, so but I will try then to read it in English. Okay, we had now reached the summit of the lofty crag. For some minutes, the old man seemed too much exhausted to speak. No long ago, said he at length, and I could have guided you on this route as well as the youngest of my sons. But about 3 years passed, there happened to me an event such as never happened to mortal man, or at least such as no man ever survived to tell of. And the 6 hours of daily terror, which I then endured, have broken me up, body and soul. You suppose me a very old man, but I am not. It took less than a single day to change his hair from jetty black to white, to waken my limbs and to unstring my nerves so that I tremble at the least exertion, and I frighted at a shadow. Do you know I can scarcely look over the little cliff without getting giddy. The little cliff upon whose edge he had so carelessly threw himself down to rest at 8th portion of his body hung over it. Really, he was only kept from falling by the tenure of his elbow and extreme and slippery edge. Sorry, je suis en train de, c'est horrible, mais I think I will stop because Paul, I think he's run in his grave. If you hear me read the text, so I will stop. But allez, the text, yeah, the text is in French, so I tried to read it in English, but for me it's too difficult. Sorry. So another few pictures inside the book. Voilà. As you may have noticed, Malmström is built up from large stream of images that were largely created through association, and that can also be read through association. Working with association is not the same as making easy jump. It's rather an intervention to bring about densification. I use the force of suggestion and ambiguity, like a poetry. The visual associate association enables me to connect and mix past and present, dream and reality, the insignificant and the cosmic. This eventually led to a poetic narration in successive images, in which I try to aim at generating new meanings rather than a classic story plot. Alors, Maelstrom has fairly strict patterns of 1 or 2 images per page. These offer combinations between 2, 3, or 4 images on a spread. This is a structure that I found often. This structure is found often in graphic novels. I will show some of my examples. For most of the examples are from Fremont, is a famous publisher in Belgium. Here you can see Le Château de Olivier Depré. Then, Dominique Goblet is, I think, is the first comics I read when I was a teenager, and I meet her, 20 years ago, and she make a dedication on this book, so it's my own. It was my hero too. And for sure, Frédéric Cochet was a huge fan. If you make etching and a book with etchings, you can don't have seen the work of Frédéric Cochet. But I saw some articles, some say compare me to Frédéric Cochet, but I think for me it's only the technique, because in the drawing is more virtuous than me, and we don't have not the same universe. I was in the lecture of him, and it was really interesting, but I don't relate with his mental imagination. Is not, this content was determined in the beginning of the process. One end, the structure keeps the project manageable in its totality. On the other hand, it allowed playing with associations, since the plate easily can be combined and recombined in the process. Since I do not work with a fixed storyboard, this play of composition is possible until the very last moment, just before the book goes in print. This doesn't mean, however, I didn't use some like storyboards to get a hold on the totality of the project. But the storyboard only appear after I have made already many images. I must to say, if the book is 99 etchings, but I think I make the double of etchings and to make a selection of it. It was quite a lot of work. There are many autobiographical elements in a Maelstrom, even if the writer is not aware of them. The work of the project coincides with my pregnancy and early motherhood, and also a house renovation. And I was also I have some operations, so all the factors that may have contributed to the duration of the work. You can even see a picture of me and my newborn, and it's a portrait from when he was 2 years old. This image appears when the hero is about to drown. He has flashbacks of key moments of his life. Alors, it took me a long time to make the images. Often I work several drawings and plates at the same time. Only after some time I gather on a bunch of them to give them acid bath and to do the printing all in one go. Since I don't have a heavily equipped print studio at home, I install the acid bath outside in the garden, even when it's snowing or raining. Then I hide under the parasol of protect myself and the plates. So after those 5 years of solitary practice, the book, A Little Baby of Another Kind, saw the daylight and become public. Yeah, the contrast was big. The work obtained a lot of attention, not only in the specialized press, but despite of unconventional nature, also in mainstream press, with articles in major national world quality newspapers. One of the left side, you see a few full page in a major newspaper in Netherlands. The article is from Joost Polman. And in Belgium, the book was recommended in an end of year list for publication of the last year, the image on the right. I'm not showing this to you to grab at all. It's just that all that attention come unexpected to me. And it was so unreal after the years of solitary work to see those images. They are so close to me, appear in the newspapers. To mark the 20th anniversary of the publishing house Bries, the book was presented with many original etchings and also etching plates at the Gallery of the Comics Art Museum. This is a super museum in a beautiful Art Nouveau building in Brussels. As you may know, Belgium is the home country to some international renowned comics, just Tintin, like Tintin, the Smurf, Lucky Luke, and Gaston. Okay. Donc ça, c'était, that was Maelstrom. To conclude, I would like to show you some impression of my next project, called Zinc, without going too much in the details. Let's say that for the first time, I work completely alone. I am developing the scenario and I pick up writing, even if the writing will always remain very sober. One of the main figures of the new projects is a figure of the devil. In my autonomous work, I often draw representation of the devil inspired by European folklore. I like to make devil portraits. There is also sometimes scary about it. There is also sometimes scary about it. Some were published in United Dead Artists. This is a magazine created and produced by Stéphane Blanquet to promote and highlight drawing artists of all genres. I will show some more examples. I make some still life with the devil on a jar. The subject of the original, the subject of the origin of the devil, evil, or how we represent evil, fascinates me. The last 2 years, I have been reading a lot of books of psychology, and I was particularly interested in psychopathy. I also got help from a friend who is a doctor in psychology. She has worked in a prison environment and has studied the origins of evil. So through these readings, I began to create secondary characters, each with their own psychology, and I imagined the way of interacting. Ah, pardon, excusez-moi, je vais revenir dessus. Lily and Lola, the two female main characters of the project Zinc, are based on two close friends of mine, Leslie and Heidi. As for character of Lily, she has already taken shape in a little story called Sinking. Here you see the front and back cover. I made this result publication as part of an invitation from John Schultz for a portfolio exchange. Comically too, a second helping of never before seen comics books. All the participants are artists who deconstruct the code of comics. So Thinking is a story of my friend Leslie, also known as Lily. It's her alter ego. When we saw each other during the Christmas holiday years ago, we talked a lot about our personal stories and about messy love stories. It was Lily who was first encouraged me to make a book inspired by her story. John's project gave me the extra motivation to complete it. Almost all the drawings of the main characters are cut-out portraits of Cary Grant that I found on the internet. So in these projects, for the first time, the text and image are mine. I will review some fragments from his short 48-page story. Alors, Lily, everything will be all right, don't worry. Friends, stay. Every day, Lily waits for him. He arrived from work all stressed out. He could make a hurting remake. Lily thought he would change. After all, he could be so adorable. He felt empty and useless. He hated himself. He was afraid of all forms of intimacy. He knew everything about her. She knew nothing about him. You are the loveliest and the stupidest. One day charming, the other day cruel and distant. They had that perfect marriage in which she was willing to give everything and he wanted to take everything. When she got closer, he closed himself off. Lily wanted to help him, just like the other girls who preceded her, until exhaustion. Voilà, donc... ouais, it's short, mais the large project, Zinc, I want to be more... attendez, je dois revenir sur l'image avant. For me, this booklet thinking is like a small step towards the big project. This is also a project that is very different that I usually do because of the technique. The drawings are made of fountain pen. The images are made very spontaneous and of course, it's much less laborious than etchings. There is only 50 exemplars of copies of this book. The large project Zinc, I want to be more enigmatic, mysterious of the order of poetry. There, I like to leave space for the writers to make his own stories. In this etching from the new project, you can see the character of Lily with a friend meeting in the park to talk about their misadventures. The image has the same small size as in Sinking. The layout with the 2 images per page is also the same as the milestone. Voilà. Okay, I have already made about 100 small engravings for these projects in the last 2 years. It is still a few in full development, and I haven't explored everything yet. Quite frankly, I will take me a few more years to complete the project. I guess I come to the end of my tour of my oeuvre. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer them. I will try.
Sure, if you have any questions or comments, you can either just unmute yourself or drop your name in the chat, either way. Can you say anything about your teaching experience?
I love teaching. It is very important because it's not an ocean. It was for me like a small portfolio. The competition was my dream. My first dream was not to make books. My first dream was to be a printmaker teacher. And that was there is so few places for to be a teacher in printmaking. That I said, okay, that was a challenge. I said, I will make a beautiful book in etching. So I have my card to show what I can do in printmaking and maybe have a job. And that didn't happen the first time. But the second time, I have the job, so I teach printmaking in Sint-Lucas, in Antwerp. No, not Sint-Lucas, but Sint-Lucas, yeah, Sint-Lucas, Antwerpen. So I teach printmaking for the students. So that was my, yeah. And I give also drawing lessons. To people in the evening, in an evening school. It is really enjoying. It's really nice to work with these people. Good evening. C'est qui? C'est Maria. Ah, je vois que... Ah, thank you. Merci.
A question from Austin English. Did you want to ask that with your voice, or just?
Feel free to have your own channel with the story. Ouais, alors, attends, je vais essayer de bien répondre. Interesting.
I'll unmute myself and just ask this question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I thank you so much for this talk. I really enjoyed it. I just wanted to say, in reading your work, I'm so interested in your approach to narrative, and I believe you cover this a bit in the talk, but if maybe you wanted to talk about it more. It feels like there's this very free way of, especially in Maelstrom, you know, it's the story it's based on is such a, the Poe story is very contained, and everything leads to a certain point. And in your interpretation of the story, it's so open, and you can go in so many different directions. Is this a correct way to come to your work, that it's very open for the reader to find their own way with it? And how do you feel about working this way in comics in general? Do you feel comics in general have this kind of approach, or did you kind of come to this yourself?
Alors, I don't see you, but I hear you. Thank you for your question. I think, alors comment je veux dire, yeah, I give a lot of space for the writer, but it's also for Jos Polman for the article in the newspaper. I must to say he's also he saw a lot of books, and he's also a specialist in comics books, and he never saw this before. So I think yes. The text is really short, so I want to make my own story with this famous novel. So there was in this story there is no place for the woman, for instance. So I fantasize over what happened to this woman when she wait for men when they are fishing. So it's like comment on appelle ça un rhizome. You understand the word? It's like an idea give another idea. It's like an universe, and it took more. It's bigger than only the short story. Wow, really. It's beautifully written, but it's too small to make a book on its own, I think. So I need to have some more images and more sphere. Yeah, I don't know. Can I explain? But it's like if you know Franz Mazerel, his famous book from how he work. It's like I think the same method. This book, so with one journey where you follow a man and he's fictional, but he's also autobiographical. So there is le nom de ce j'ai pas le nom du do you know this novel from Franz Mazerel or not?
Yes, no, and your work reminds me of his work very much, and it feels like there was early comics really have that quality that I really appreciate in your work as well.
But it's a little bit the same. That for sure, I live not in the same time, and we have a lot of interest for some like the city, and it's maybe not so. My work is not so engaged, politically engaged. Maybe it will be later, but than Franz Mazerel. But I think what I can compare is that the freedom and he work also really organically. So it grow in his own universe, page after page, and. Yeah, for sure. It took 5 years, so I was maybe daily busy with this book, and it's also really monic work. So it's like brodé. C'est comme une brodure. It's really writing that I don't see the brodering. Yeah. So it's like I have Marson, the center in the Marson was my red link. I can, or every time I can return to this text, so I can be lost with the narrative. But I can make a composition around this narrative. I hope I answer
There's a question from Maria. Did you want
to? Yes, I was trying to connect also the camera so you can see me. Yes, I was thinking in another sense, another way you said
Hello, Maria.
Bonsoir. At some point you said that Goblet was one of the first comics that you read, if I understand well. And I remember once I heard her saying that she only started reading comics as an adult. So as she didn't have the learned the comics since childhood, the same traditional comics, she could detach from the stories. And I think I feel a little bit the same in your work, and that I think it's amazing. And the first time I'm seeing it, and really impressed me. And also, besides Mazarel, the coloring on one of your pages, I thought of Harriman, George Harriman for Crazy Cat. The do you know Crazy Cat?
Can you write it? Because I
yes, it's George Harriman. If you, but I
don't know him.
Crazy Cat. The very old cartoons, and because of the
okay, yeah, Crazy Cat.
Person. It has this imagery of old cartoons, and it's even if it's not you are not going back to these cartoons, has this reminiscence of old cartoons too.
Je suis en train de taper George Ingman, mais I know what you're. Oui, mais ça en fait c'est. Okay, no, I don't know him, but I'll go to check. Yeah, okay. But I think it's because of all the in my subconscious. It's like we have all. In Europa, we are since the Second War. We are already read a lot of comics, old comics, and I speak about Disney. So it's like for me, it's like a nostalgic. So this old cartoon, and when you said about the Goblet, I think because. In the same spirit, because I was in a time where we want to make books. I know because I met also Bert Evans and Bert van den Broek. We are the same. I don't have the same teacher, but Gule de Wonko was the teacher of this group of two future famous cartoonists. But I think the pedagogy was to make books without. Not only for child, and that was I like also the nostalgia of the child's books, but I want to make I speak about some serious subject and really creepy, and it is for adults, but I think it's like The Simpsons. You can read in the the children can also read it, but you have two level of lecture. So I like it. This, but is in the growing. So I'm really pleased that you. But it's like I know there is no. It's like I was. Encircled by people, yes, in Belgium who are already busy with this kind of books, and I think Ria, my publisher, makes space to make this happen, because it's really marginal. You can also say it's really childish, of naive, my way of drawing, and what the fuck. What is this thing? But I was helped with. Some people said, "Yeah, it is nice. You must to draw, stay to draw, make make some other books. So thanks for your question, Maria.
Merci.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
Austin, Suzanne, Flynn. C'est marrant, je vois tous les noms.
Have you ever made a book directly with etching press? I mean, or are those early books just etchings? Or are they always, I know there's an issue. Go ahead, sorry.
Pardon, mais everything is made with etchings. I said I'm really a monomaniac, so.
No, I mean the actual finished book as an etching, a collection of etchings. Like Gilray, like in the 18th century, people did editions of 1,000 prints with etching or different no. So you're planning to go to whatever this is, digital printing or offset. I don't know how they print your book.
Yeah, it is made in offset, but that for sure is that if you see the original, they are, and if you are sensitive to art and materiality, then it's not beautiful than that is in the paper. But I think Stan Dams, the graphic designer, he really make a great job because it's made with Munch paper, the paper and the duotone with ochre and black make the same color. You don't see the difference between the reproduction of the book and the etchings. C'est bête parce que j'ai pas de. J'ai un tout petit truc. C'est vraiment a small thing because I must show on the camera because it's an edition I made for the first 30 books. And yeah, it's like you don't have this materiality with the relief on the paper and the inks. It's like, but I'm okay with it because there's a nice. I have a good. Ria take really good care to make a really beautiful book. So it's okay, but it's really strange because I can say, okay, but why she don't do it directly in pen ink and black and white? But in the process, I don't have my plates, but in the process, I make a varnish. And there is a lot of irregularity on the plate, on the varnish. So he make like a rose in the picture. And this effect I can have only on a paper and black inks. You understand?
Yes.
What
it has surface, all the surface effects of an etching, right? All the.
C'est plus. I know because I hear also from the book of these tricks for Frédéric Cochet, for his book for framework, for instance, they make a duotone with two kind of grays, of black, to have the perfect, to have the volume of the etching in the color. So, ouais, je pense que c'est okay, but it is a lot of work for scan and to work, to clean the image and to have all the round, comment tu appelles ça, the contour of the etching. It was a lot of work to clean and to prepare for the book, for each book, in fact. But yeah.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I know it's late where you are, or early where we, I don't know what it is. But thank you for staying up to do this. And thank everybody for coming. And thank you, Celine, for the talk. And we'll see you all next week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Good night. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.